Then we're stuck with the question of, do we let the DA know that there's this gaping hole in their case? So now you got to know the personality of the DA. Are they a truth seeker, or are they a true believer that is just going to say, well, one of the symptoms of child sex abuse is they'll change their story over and over again. Or one of the symptoms of having PTSD is your story changes for an adult victim. Right? People believe that.
Or if they're even worse and they don't care whether somebody's innocent or guilty, they want a conviction for the sake of their career. Or because they're...
I always give them the benefit of the doubt, and I think that they're just not critical thinkers, and that their brain just has a problem of playing devil's advocate, that they trusting, they got this paradigm.
Especially if they hear one story first, if they only talk...
primacy versus recency. So it's confirmation bias, and it takes a deliberate, active mind to model the other side. Some people don't model minds very well. They're just not good at that, right? They have no theory of mind. Like maybe they lack empathy themselves. And, imagine the worst sort of client you've ever seen, the worst sort of perpetrator you've ever seen, and assume they go to law school and become a family law lawyer and deal with child custody cases. You think those people are on the right side of the case? Well, we have opposition attorneys all the time in the civil realm. We clearly think that the case is an utter loser, and then we go annihilate them at trial, and it's like they didn't ever know. You try to settle it, and you're like, why do you believe this? Like, are you not a reasonable person? And I feel that same way with DAs too. Like, I don't mispredict trial outcomes. If I say there's 8 times out of 10 we're gonna win this case, I've yet to see case get lost. And if I say, look, this case, have to be a miracle, and if we won those cases, it's because the miracle happened at trial unexpectedly that we foresee as a possibility, but not a likelihood. So why are those people trying cases and we get a 14-minute not guilty verdict or a 24-minute not guilty verdict? Like, what are we doing wrong that we can't convince these DAs to dismiss the case? Well, sometimes we haven't attempted to convince them because we didn't believe they would if we told them. So we've held back our punches, rope-a-doped it, and then once they get worn out, usually after their opening statement and the fireworks begin and cross, you'd think they'd get it. Like, if I got a beating like some of the beatings we put down in cases, I'd be like, Your Honor, may I have a moment? I'd go talk to my cop and be like, I don't think I can good faith can do this case anymore. This person is a fucking liar. And I would move to dismiss the case rather than put this jury through days of watching the whooping. And it's painful for everybody involved. Like, if you know you're gonna lose, like, why put a victim through that? Be honest with them.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think the jury is also a very nice reality check, because if we said, oh, like this case, 8 out of 10 times we're gonna win this, clearly this is in our favor, and then, we have the whole trial and we're like, see, we're clearly gonna win, and the jury came back with a 15-minute guilty verdict, then we might have to stop and say, whoa, are we the ones who are delusional here? Are we the ones who are not seeing the other side? So, I feel like it's affirming when you predict that something's gonna happen, when you're like, all right, 12 reasonable people are going to see it our way, and then they do. I feel like that's a good...
It's easy to do. All you have to do is be a reasonable person.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And there's a lot of unreasonable people that look at the world incorrectly. Like, they live in a world that believe exists but does not exist. They don't understand what reasonable people do because they're not a reasonable person. Maybe they lack virtue. Maybe they're very judgmental. Maybe they're just not smart enough to have a theory of mind. I don't think my dog has a theory of mind. Is it because it's an unvirtuous dog? No, it's because my dog is not smart enough to have a theory of mind. So, there's people out there, like, I always think when someone says, oh, that person doesn't have any empathy, it's like, really? Maybe they haven't tried. Maybe they lack imagination. Maybe they just need to be encouraged to put themselves in someone else's shoes and say, hey, but can you just try to imagine for a moment that you're this other person that you just wronged? How would it feel? I never thought of that before.
Yeah.